Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel with another Mock Draft Monday for you guys here today. And not just any ordinary Mock Draft Monday, a special one because the NFL Combine is tomorrow. Yes, we have made it officially to the NFL Combine. So you're going to start seeing in a lot of these mocks that I do moving forward, but also others, guys that you might have had a chance at taking at 58, you might have to take at 26. And guys that you think you could have taken at 26 might not even be there anymore. Or vice versa. That is the beauty of draft season, folks. So with that being said, I understand that we try to do what I believe the Dallas Cowboys should do. But what I'm going to do for this particular one is a mini stake my claim type of thing to what I think the Dallas Cowboys would do on draft night if it were to go a certain way, okay? And I'm going to explain what happened with all these picks and all that other stuff. So with that being said, before we dive into it, if you can hit the like button, that'd be greatly appreciated. Subscribe if you're new. And hit that notification bell as well. 87% of you guys watching aren't subscribed, so if you love the content you're seeing, I don't see a reason why you can't subscribe. It's free. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive straight into this new mock draft.
With the 26th pick, the Dallas Cowboys select
Drew Sanders, linebacker, Arkansas. This is a name that many Dallas Cowboys fans should start getting familiar with as we move forward through this draft process. I wouldn't be shocked if the Dallas Cowboys had some stuff leak and be like, hey, they're very interested with this guy from Arkansas, or they invite him to a private workout or go to his pro day. This is a guy that I think would be very interesting to add into this linebacking core here in Dallas. Now, a big thing, aside from his resume, which we'll get into in just a moment, is what exactly happened before this pick and why I think the Dallas Cowboys would go this route. So to start things off, there are some notable names of guys that I've taken beforehand that went a lot earlier, which I fully expected to happen. Joey Porter Jr., a notable name that we took in a mock draft. He went 11th to Tennessee. Some other guys like Christian Gonzalez, he went 13th to the Jets, an interesting duo there at cornerback. Quentin Johnson went 14th to the Patriots. A name that I've been seeing a lot, Bijan Robinson went 18th to the Lions. Jordan Addison went 21st to the Chargers, and Jackson Smith and Jigba went to the Ravens at pick 22, and Osiris Torrance went 23 to the Vikings. And also Cam Smith, another guy that people have been talking about, went 24th to the Jags. And then at the 25th spot, the Giants took Jalen Hyatt. Jalen Hyatt is most likely going into the first round this particular draft, and I would not be shocked by that, especially if the Giants take him. So that leaves the Cowboys with several options. A lot of the wide receivers that are there don't fit the mold that I would expect them to go after, especially that early on. I would be unbelievably shocked if they went with a wide receiver that's under 6 foot. It's just the Cowboys have a type. You can like it, you cannot like it, but that's just who it is. Now, with that being said, I think when you look at who else is on the board, like there's a Nolan Smith there at edge who would be nice to take. There's Kaylee Ringo, that's a name that's been talked about. Jahmyr Gibbs has been possibly looked at going into the first round. I wouldn't be shocked if he gets pushed into the first round, especially after what happens in the combines. But with that being said, I think that Drew Sanders might end up being the pick for the Dallas Cowboys. And let me get into his resume. What's interesting is that Drew Sanders actually was committed to go to Alabama as an edge rusher, but then what ended up happening was that he decided to head over to Arkansas to get more opportunity. Now, with that being said, you look at what happened in the years that he was at Arkansas, and he made this transition from edge rusher to off-ball linebacker. So you kind of look at what he came into college with, and it's very similar to Micah Parsons. I'm not saying he is a Micah Parsons, by the way, but I'm just letting you know a very similar story. A guy coming in as an edge guy, like Micah Parsons was. If you don't know, Micah Parsons came in as a defensive end / edge guy. Then they moved him to linebacker and kind of made him a utility guy. But, you know, it's kind of like they moved him all over the place. But getting back to the story here, I think that this is a guy that you would love to have in Dallas in that linebacking core. The one thing that stands out when I look at him is his ability to fill in gaps in the run game, which is something that the Dallas Cowboys are going to massively need. Now, keep in mind, I still think they need to go get a defensive tackle to help with that, and they can't rely on their linebackers to finish that. But I think if you can get your D tackles to do their damn job, he's going to make it so much more difficult to run on the Dallas Cowboys. Another thing, too, is that you could line him up as a rusher, as an edge guy, and he can definitely go to work there. He is a very flexible type of guy. He's really good in pretty much all facets of the game that you would want him to do as an off-ball linebacker. Now, a couple of things that do need some work. I think that he, in terms of like what he does in the box as a run defender, he needs to work on. I think that that's something that I've been noticing a lot when I've been watching him on tape. Another thing here is just, sometimes he does get overpowered. And, I understand with linebackers, this can vary depending on what their roles are. And, he's not really the best in coverage. But then again, like linebackers, when it comes to coverage, that's something that they get further and better with in the league if they're coached up right. But I really do love his ability as a player. I think he has a very high ceiling. I think the athletic traits and abilities are there as a linebacker and what the Cowboys could be looking for. And he's another guy that you can use as a pass rusher. He definitely is a guy that you can be used situationally. And if you add him and Micah Parsons in the same room, they're going to be one hell of a tandem, that I will tell you, down the road. And I think that, again, he would be a guy I would not be shocked that the Dallas Cowboys are interested in, especially because they're going to need more linebackers in here unless they fully trust the room they have, which I doubt. I'm not saying that they don't trust Damone Clark or Jabril Cox, but you can't look at that linebacking core and say you can't add anything more. Now, if they add a guy in free agency, I wouldn't be shocked if they still drafted him, but keep an eye out on the moves they make. If they don't add any linebackers in free agency, I would not be shocked if they make other moves and this ends up being the pick. So again, keep an eye on what they do in free agency, and I don't want to go on for too long. But Drew Sanders is a guy that's very talented. He's definitely a guy you should keep on your radar in this draft process, and I do believe if he's there at 26, given how this board fell, like I mentioned, he's going to be the Dallas Cowboys pick. I do think that. And, PFF gives it an F pick, but I think that's ridiculous because of the way they look at him. I guarantee you that he's going to move up a lot further. But, again, a name to keep an eye out on. So with that being said, let's move on to the next pick that the Dallas Cowboys make in this draft in round 2 at pick 58.
The Dallas Cowboys select
Kayshon Boutte, wide receiver, LSU. This screams the Dallas Cowboys select if I've ever seen one. Allow me to explain. The Dallas Cowboys are going to need a receiver. We'll know throughout the draft process and when we go through free agency what they do. But I would not be shocked if they take a chance on this guy in round 2 because the Cowboys love to do that. And I don't think it's the wrong decision. Some people think, oh, there are other guys that are talented, which I understand. I think for the Cowboys, they might look at this guy and be like, okay, well, we like some of these other guys, but he kind of does the same thing but has a little bit more size. Now, do I think he's as good as some other guys that are shorter than him? No. That's just my personal opinion. But he fits the mold of what the Cowboys would take a chance on. A guy that has some off-field reports with question marks that will push him further down the draft board. On top of that, some of the stuff you see on the field, it's not impressive in the sense of like what teams are comparing when it comes to all these other receivers that are in the draft. But he's still a guy that you should take in the top 3 rounds. And I wouldn't be upset if the Cowboys took this guy. So here's some things that I really like about what he brings to the table as a receiver. He does look like a guy that can have big play ability. Also, he is a guy that can be a threat vertically, which then again, I want some guys that you can incorporate into this offense more, like Kavontae Turpin. Like, I want speedy guys. Now, is this guy the speediest dude, not particularly from what I've seen on film. And again, could be wrong there as we go through the draft process, and I wouldn't be shocked if he moves up. But again, he has a really, really good run after catch. That I can't take away from him whatsoever. And I'm not trying to be nitpicky here, but a lot of the times what happened is that with LSU, with what I've seen on film, okay, is that he's done jet sweeps. They try to get the ball in his hand to make him do a lot of things, or screens or something like that, which if the Cowboys want to do screens and they want a receiver that can do that with a certain, build and athleticism, he's going to be that, okay? And I think when it comes to his production, it wasn't high because of the situations he was in with the quarterbacks he was playing with and the coaching situation. So I'm not upset with that whatsoever because, again, you need the numbers if you want to push yourself up the draft board, but some can say otherwise. I do think the biggest thing is when I see him is that drops can be a concern, and sometimes his release isn't the best, but I think that if you're looking for a guy that can be built into a wide receiver 2, maybe push to wide receiver 1, he's that guy. Like, he has the ability to do that. He has all the traits that you would want in a receiver, the build, if I'm talking about the Cowboys, that is. But I think the problem is just the consistency. And again, the drops, the ability to release. Not saying he can't release. It's just that it's up and down. And I think, again, if the Cowboys want to go after a guy that they can plug in and develop, he's that guy. And again, the Cowboys love to take chances on their second round picks. That's kind of what I'm banking on here. I do think they will take a receiver in this draft. And I think that I wouldn't be shocked if he's on their radar. So again, I don't want to go too long, into both of these guys. You can say for yourself, do you think you could see the Dallas Cowboys doing this on draft night? If I'm wrong in my analysis, by all means, tell me down below. Hey, I think Kayshawn is bad. I think he's really good and you're just underselling him. Same thing with Drew Sanders. Tell me down below, honestly. But with that being said, guys, tell me what you would want the Dallas Cowboys to do or what you think they're going to do in the first 2 rounds. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will catch you guys in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Goodbye.